Action.
The election is over and Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America, the most powerful man in the whole entire world, theoretically. And now after this election, my biggest question as a black man, more specifically the descendant of an American slave, is why did you vote? Black people, why do you vote? I really think that y'all are like playing pretend. I'm looking at you the same way that Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris, the way all of these people look at you. They say vote for us because we're black and we're for black people. But what does that mean? Black in America, their concept is race, looking at skin color. I ain't talking about no skin color. When I introduce myself as a descendant of an American slave, that's a very specific thing. America owes us a very specific grievance now. Now Donald Trump is the president, right? Now, do you remember when he ran against Joe Biden? He said the Platinum Plan, and every American, y'all were so offended because he said, how dare he play in their faces and say that I'm gonna call it the Platinum Plan. Now, for you, the exact same person who tried to chastise Donald Trump for saying the Platinum Plan, Kamala Harris gave you Cardi B, she gave you Meg Thee Stallion, she gave you twerking, she gave you let's send babies to go see Jesus from now until forever. And that represents you. That's your political ideology. And so when they talk to you, talk down to you like you ain't got the intelligence to vote for your political interest, I have to ask, what is your political interest and why did you vote? So I made a video about reparations and black people got mad at me because I said that America, you've invested in America with your life, with your blood, with your sweat, with your tears, with all of your money. All of your resources go back to America. You don't get a check and send that check back to Mexico. You don't get no check and send that check back to Nigeria. That's not your experience. You invest in America with your everything. And now, when you ask your politician to do something for you, don't you think that they're supposed to represent your best interest? This is what politics are. Politics is the battle for resources. Every group of people is fighting for resources. And when I ask you why you voted, what are you fighting for? Are you fighting for the ability to say, I'm a whole American? Cool. We're all whole Americans. We're here in this wonderful place that we call the United States of America. Now what? What do you want for your subgroup? What do you want for your community? Because a lot of politics is based on your location. And let's look at the numbers, right? The numbers say that 75% of white families own the place in which they live and 45% of black families own the place in which they live. Now, if you don't own the place in which you live, that means the government owns you. Why is this a very specific point? Because nobody really talks about how much money they have. White people ain't going to tell you that they're doing well, but they own 4, 5, 6 properties that they inherited from their grandmother, great-grandmother, on the other side of the family, because lots of white people still believe in families. And when you believe in a family, you have a union of resources. Now, when black folks get married, if my family don't own nothing and your family don't own nothing, guess what that leaves me and our children with? Nothing. And now when you understand, when black folks look, when black people stop pretending and they understand that they ain't got nothing in this great land, then the conversation changes. When black people stop going to a voting booth and voting because of the way someone looks or because of what someone says, and actually has a political agenda that says, black people need reparations. I don't care how you feel. It's not about your feelings. It's about a political grievance. You invested in this nation. Colluded not only with the federal government and state governments, but also with business to make sure that you didn't own anything. And why did they do that? Why? I don't care why they did it. It happened. And now that we know that it happened, the response has to be a political response, not an emotional response. When you ain't got no money in your pocket, you just can't start crying. When you don't get the candidate that you want, you just don't start crying. No. You get to work and you pressure Donald Trump. You say, hey, Donald Trump, you said Platinum Plan. Where's that Platinum Plan? And now, since it's 4 years later, we need to modify this Platinum Plan to reflect ownership in America, not just opportunity. Opportunity sounds so good. But when America really respects you, they make sure you're a homeowner, right? They brought in all these immigrants, and Nancy Pelosi, she said, we're going to turn these people into homeowners in America. So how do they just get here, then hop ahead of you, black person, descendant of an American slave? How they cut the line and take the resources that you're supposed to have, that you invested with your life in? Man, I'm mad at black folks because y'all out here, y'all don't know what y'all doing. Y'all don't know what y'all doing. And if I tell you what the real reason is, then everybody get mad with me because you're not supposed to say the big fat ass elephant in the room. A lot of us is politically illiterate. A lot of us is financially illiterate. A lot of us is actually illiterate. A lot of black folks can't read at sixth grade level. A lot of Americans can't read at sixth grade level. And so you're listening to the television, you're listening to the radio, you're listening to your mama, you're listening to your daddy, you're listening to everybody who was not politically informed to make a decision. Holy moly, man. And you ain't gotta be no rocket science or no politician to understand that you ain't got no money. You don't need to, you know your rent is high. You know your grocery bill is too damn high. You know these things. You can feel it in your pockets. But instead of acknowledging this economic disparity in America, you want to be so included. I ain't trying to make nobody happy. I'm trying to make sure that we ensure that black people own property in America going forward before BlackRock buys it up, before China buys it up, before immigrants buy it up. A land is a finite resource. And this is the land that your great-great-great-grandparents put their hand in the soil and made it come to fruition. And had they repay them, they made sure that the descendants of American slaves, made sure they went to prison, made sure that they murdered a whole bunch of babies. Reproductive rights. 63 million babies have been killed since 1973. 63 million, on average 500 to 900,000 babies die every year because of a policy that says you deserve the right to just say bye to these beautiful babies. Is that what our ideology is? Because if black folks really love black folks, then there'll be so many black babies in black communities because we understand our political power, we understand our economic impact to this nation. But instead of doing all these very specific things, we listen to politicians play politics while we don't know what politics are. And so when I ask you why you vote, I'm not trying to chastise you. I'm trying to tell you that Donald Trump is the president. It's a battle for resources. You need to get your shit together, get on the reparations train, and let's go get this money.
The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive. The greatest American alive.